Hello everyone, George Packard with Family Lawn and Landscape, and today we're going to talk a little bit about, well, we're on deck talk again. See, on the deck, got all that stuff. Never mind. Alright, today we're going to talk about if you are thinking about buying a lawn care business. I bought several businesses. We continue to buy them, here and there. It's something you do, but if you've ever thought about this, and I'm sure you have, these are some pointers that I want to bring to your attention, things I want you to think about if you are going to do something like that. Okay, number one, know the real equipment value. Okay, most guys don't want to sell their accounts, they want to sell the whole thing as a whole. I try not to have to buy the equipment if I can get away with it, just because we have a lot of equipment, we really don't need it. I have my preference on equipment and things I like to stick with. Sometimes I'm forced to buy it just because they want to sell the whole thing as a package deal. If that's the case, and if you do have to buy the equipment, just make sure that you're paying a fair price for it. So, in other words, if it was a new mower at $5,000 5 years ago, now the thing's probably worth $750. Okay, things like that. Don't overpay for the used equipment. To me, used equipment, it's okay if that's what you can afford to get is just the used equipment and you have to stick with that, well, that's fine. But the older the equipment gets, the more headaches you have with it, the more repairs there are involved. So it gets pretty pricey. Okay, so keep that in mind about the equipment and the things. Location of the customers. That's a big thing to watch for. So, and by that I mean if, like we cover probably down in the Florida market, we probably cover a 25-mile radius. Okay, I saw some businesses that we looked at over time, and one we bought, which was really sweet, which everybody was in a 5-mile radius. So that was nice. That was very important. That adds some worth to it because they're all more concentrated. They're more condensed. They're not spread out all over the place. Okay. Monthly income. Know what the monthly income is off these properties. So, and when I say know it, don't take the guy's word for it. You want to see bank statements showing, hey, I've made this amount every month for the last year, 2 years, or 3 years. Here's what it is. You can see where we were putting it into the bank all the time. Don't let the guy tell you I make $100,000 a month or $100,000 a year off this business and I have no financials to back it up. If he's telling you that and he doesn't have any financials to back it up, then more than likely he's pulling your leg, and you need to be very leery of that guy. I wouldn't look at anybody's business without financial statements to back it up. I just wouldn't do it. So I'm not going by word of mouth for anyone. So watch the bank statements. Visit the properties and meet the customers. That's a mistake that I made. One of the guys that I bought out, and what it was, he had about, I guess at the time it was supposed to be close to 200 customers. When all was said and done, I think we ended up with maybe 125 customers or something. It was bad, and even then, when we showed up to mow on the properties, they would come out of the house and tell us, hey, we canceled your service months ago, things like that. So we really took it in the rear end on that thing, and I don't want that to happen to anybody. You need to go and meet every single customer. Don't have them drive up and say, well, this is the house, look how nice this is, nice property we have here. There's a couple things you want to look at when you come up to that property. Number one, look at the size of the property. Number two, look at what is he charging for that property, because you want to know if you're getting a fair price for mowing that property. 9 out of 10 times, guys are selling their businesses because they're not making money at it. Now, they could not be making money for a number of reasons, and one could be because they're underpricing it. They come in lowballing, they pick them up for low prices, they're not making any money at it, they're getting rid of it. There's a million other reasons guys sell their companies. Financial difficulties or, medical problems in the family. There's always something that can come up, okay? But while you're on the property, number one, look at the property. Number two, figure out what the fair price would be to mow that property, take care of it. See if he's there. If he's not there with his price, if that's a $100 a month property in your mind, and you get there and he's doing it for $60, that's a red flag. You need to write that down. You're going to discuss that with him later. Because what you're going to have to do is raise your price to meet your profit, your absolute minimum profit margin that you got to make on that. When you do that, odds are you're probably going to lose that client. If you lose that client, Okay, now he doesn't have 100 clients to sell you anymore. If he's done this on 25% of the properties, now he's only got 75 properties to sell you. Okay, because you're probably going to lose those 25. So I'm just telling you, this is something that I've experienced in the past. You need to pay attention to that when you're going out and looking at it. Okay, meet the customers, talk to the customers, make sure they're happy and they're going to be on board with you. You know, a lot of people look for an excuse to get out, especially if they're not happy with this guy to begin with, and all of a sudden he's making a change in leadership and he's selling the business to somebody else. A lot of times these customers will jump right on like, hey, now's my time to get out. You know, I felt bad for Billy or whatever. I didn't want to drop him even though his service was getting bad or whatever, but now this is my chance and I got out. So you'll lose customers like that too. When I tell you this from experience. If you think you're going to go in there and buy 100 customers, chances are you're going to walk away with about 50. And believe me, I've done this enough. I've seen it happen so many times with my own experience. I'm telling you that's what happens, okay? So keep that in mind, okay? Automatically keep it in mind. Whether that guy agrees with it or not, I don't care. I don't care what he agrees with because I've been around the block. I've bought them. I've sold them. I know exactly what it's involved with them, and I know how many customers you lose, okay?